Hello everyone, this is Joseph from NoteFull, and I'm really excited to present this video because today we're going to talk about the reading section of the TOEFL. And the reason why it's important is because it's a tough section for a lot of students. And the way that I want to talk about it is to guide our students who are in our reading programs, specifically with Complete TOEFL Success, to help you understand how you want to study the program to really shoot up your score on this section, which can be a challenge. And in addition, help all the students out there who are looking to improve. So I want to talk about getting you into the right mindset, because a lot of students sometimes don't spend the right energy with strategy, and that's where I find a lot of them struggle because they're not mastering it. And I think you would if you knew this information. So since the TOEFL came out, the test that I'm teaching you, 27 million students have walked through and taken the exam. In 2010, the average undergraduate student scored an 18 to a 19 out of 30 on the reading. The average graduate student applying to, of course, graduate school got a 21 out of 30. And you know that the TOEFL reading section has a maximum score of 30 points. Now, professionals, so individuals applying for pharmacy license and physical therapy licenses, averaged a score of 20 out of 30. So overall, all the students taking the exam for different subjects averaged about a 20 out of 30 on the reading. So if you want to stand out, and for those professionals who usually are required to score a 21 at least on the reading section, we need strategy, because our results show that students who study our strategy when they take the exam score 22 to 24 out of 30 once they've mastered, memorized, and consistently apply strategy to their actual exams. And of course, our students go up far more than this, but that depends also on improving your vocabulary and also on improving your reading comprehension, which comes from practice. But strategy alone is going to really push you up, and strategy is what helps you to get 30 out of 30. So let's go ahead and begin to learn what that strategy is. The first thing is that all of you listening right now usually talk about timing as one of the major concerns that they have in the reading. But timing is really just a choice. You have to recognize that you can't always be comfortable choosing an answer, but you must follow strategy and you must follow timing. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because within the program, and what you can see in general here, is an outline of how much time you should spend on each part of the reading. So this is important because if you spend too much time on any one question, you're going to hurt yourself for other questions which may be easier. So you want to spend the first minute reading the first sentences of each paragraph along with the title to get a general picture of the reading. They have a visual image here to help you. So if you have a title and a reading with 4 paragraphs, the red lines illustrate which sentences you should be reading. And you don't want to focus on the entire sentence because sometimes that can be hard to do. So you just want to focus on the subject, verb, and object to get a general picture so that as you read in detail, your brain already has knowledge of it. Once you've read the first sentences, you want to attack the questions with an appropriate amount of time for each. So the first 5 questions you want to spend on any reading, you want to spend 6 minutes and 20 seconds on. The next 5 questions you want to spend another 6 minutes and 20 seconds on. The last 4 questions you want to spend again 6 minutes and 20 seconds on, because these questions tend to be the hardest. The summary, the plug-in, they're usually in that series. So make sure that you follow timing, and remember, whether you're comfortable or not, you have to choose and move on. Now, strategy is incredibly important, not to read because it's not a book, it's not a novel, but to memorize, because that's actually your recipe for baking that cake of success. And even though it's a little bit of a unique analogy, it's absolutely true. What happens if you forget an ingredient? The cake doesn't turn out the same, right? The first thing that we're going to talk about is detail strategy. We have 5 steps. Now, what are these 5 steps of attacking a detail question? Well, first, how do you know when you have a detail question? Usually when you have a question that begins with according to, and it asks a WH question, like where, when, why, what, which, that's a detail question, just asking you for a fact in the reading. The first step is that when you do read the question and identify it as a detail question, you want to understand what you're being asked. Are you being asked why, which is a reason, or what, which is a noun or a thing? You have to have that understanding so that when you read, you're going to have a firm idea of when you actually read the answer. The next thing is that you want to identify the keywords in the question. Keywords in the question are those specific nouns that you're being asked about. For example, in this example, Why are limestone and sandstone aquifers not being refilled? Limestone is a key word. It's a noun, and when you see that in the reading, it's going to trigger you to understand, hey, I'm probably going to read the answer, so I better pay attention. Next, what you do is you start reading quickly from the beginning of the paragraph, whatever paragraph it's telling you about, or from where you left off in answering the previous question, and you keep reading, scanning for the keyword. So scanning means that you are reading, but not with great depth, because you want to read for the answer, not read for general understanding. That's a huge waste of time. In the fourth step, what you want to do is have a basic understanding of this concept. When you find the keyword in the reading, the sentence that you find the keyword in, that sentence 60% of the time gives you the answer. So it's pretty clear, pretty easy. Sometimes, though, you have to read a little bit more. Sometimes the sentence with your keyword doesn't have the answer. So you have to read one more sentence, either after or before. And that happens about 30% of the time with our analysis on the readings. And those are tougher questions because they're asking you to understand more information. But this idea of percentages, I teach you because I want you to get a firm grip that you're not reading the whole paragraph to answer a detailed question. That's a mistake, and that's going to lead you to the wrong answer. Every now and then you have some tough questions that require you to read maybe one or two, sometimes even the whole paragraph to answer a detailed question. Those are rare and those are hard. So you only really get those on more challenging readings. So please understand and memorize that. So you answer the question in your own head first. Then what you do in the fifth step is you actually look at the answer choices to identify which answer matches what you said. Now, if you go to the reading section and you go to step 2, this is the part that most of you should spend a majority of your time on, and that's strategy for each question type. So we're going to go to the detail section. Before I do that, I want to make sure that we get in the right mindset. So what does that mean? Well, essentially, if you look here, I'm going to give you a couple more details. So every reading on the reading section has about 14 questions, right? On average, 4 to 5 of those questions are going to be detail questions. So what does that mean? That's 32% of those questions, or in other words, 32% of your score comes from understanding and mastering this strategy and knowing how to apply it. What does that mean? That means 9 to 10 points on your TOEFL, which is the highest score, you know, is 120. So that's a good percentage, huge percentage, is just knowing this. And that's why I decided to make it the focus of the video. So that means that for those of you who are looking for 21 in your reading for your professional license, or anywhere from 100 plus for graduate school, or anyone else trying to really improve their score overall, this is really an effective and powerful lesson for you guys. So please review this video and master the strategy. In general, for those of you who are in the program, memorize step 2. It's tough, it's big, but you gotta memorize it, because by doing so you will get those 2 to 4 extra points we talked about in the beginning of the video, if not more. And also, don't just memorize it, but apply it. And remember, memorization means I can wake you up in the middle of the night and ask you, hey, what's the strategy for detail? And you just recite those 5 steps we did earlier. So talking about it generally can be a bit confusing, but I had to introduce it to you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply it. So this is the first paragraph of the reading from the detail section. And this is the actual first question that we're going to look at, which is detail. The first thing that you want to understand is that you don't read the reading first and then look at the question. Your strategy is to read the question first and then read the reading to answer the question. So the questions appear in the order of the reading. So, you know, question number 1, you'll see towards the beginning of the reading. Question number 2, you'll see a little bit after. So it's ordered well, so it's easy to follow that strategy. It's very effective. We read this question, according to paragraph 1, what material was used to create the colors of the paint for the paintings? You guys don't even know what I'm talking about, but you can still tell me that. What kind of question is this? We have according to, so I'm going to put that in bold, and we have what, a WH question. So we're being asked for a fact in the reading. That makes this a detail question. So what's step 1? We have to read and understand the question we're being asked. What is a material, a thing, an object, a noun? That's what we're looking for. The answer to what? Now, we have to read the question and understand what we're being asked and find our key words, right? So what material was used to create the colors for the paintings? There are many keywords. So it's just the content of the question. And the content of the question deals with creating the colors for the painting. So I'm going to put that in bold, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in red. Those are our keywords. So I begin to read the reading, kind of scan it quickly. As you read, you'll see reds, yellow, and brown, right? Paintings are mostly done in reds, yellow, and brown. So you don't even need to know the context of the reading right now to answer this detail question. I'm going to put that in bold so that we can easily identify that. And again, in red, because those come from the key word. So I'm paying attention, and I remember that this 60% of the time has my answer. Now, as I read this sentence, I don't read what created the colors. I just read that there were colors for these animals. So I keep reading, right? I know that's my next step. Scientists analyzed the substance of the paint and discovered that the colors came from, right? Colors came from, created the colors for the paintings, right? So this is a continuation of what we read earlier. More keywords here. I put them in red, and it is so incredibly clear. Colors came from ochre and other iron oxides that had been ground into a fine powder. So now, armed with that, I look at my answer choices. Now here's where the magic is. Let me explain what I mean by that. A variety of iron oxides. Does that sound good? Ochre and other iron oxides? Well, if I read intelligently and other, that implies that ochre is an iron oxide, or else I wouldn't say and other, right? Timmy and other friends, so Timmy is a friend, right? We've got to use our language knowledge there. So that basically means A sounds pretty good. So I'm going to leave that one alone. B, tubes made from hollow bone. Now here's the magic. If you read that based on our analysis, you're like, of course not, that's a terrible answer. But if you didn't use our strategy and you're just stressed and you're reading, tubes made from hollow bone is actually right here later on in the reading. And reason why that's chosen for the wrong answer is because many students don't follow this kind of strategy. They read the whole paragraph and then try to answer the question. So they have this information in their brain. They're stressed, and maybe they choose B because they read it and they just make it make sense to them. But B, as we can tell, is completely incorrect because it has nothing to do with what we said. So we're going to go ahead and put that in italics because that's no good. Now C, mammoth bones crushed into a fine powder. Well, I remember reading mammoth because if you guys read the sentence before, it says paintings are mostly done in reds, yellow, and brown and feature such beasts as wild horses, bulls, reindeer, bison, and mammoths. So mammoths is mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in bold. Now the interesting thing about this though is that bones crushed into fine powder. Well, I see ground into fine powder in this sentence, right everybody? So what this is another common wrong answer. So B is an away wrong answer. And I'm going to write this down later and show you guys. So what that means is they choose a sentence or a piece of information far away from your keyword to confuse you. And that's why I told you guys that percentage in step 4. Remember? Now C is also tricky because this is another common technique that the TOEFL uses. They will take words from the reading, from different parts of the reading, that have absolutely no connection and create a connection. So you get confused because it's tricky. And to make it a little bit easier to choose this as a wrong answer, they threw in the word bones, which doesn't even appear in the reading. So this is a mixed answer with added information. Now let's look at D. Ochre and other iron oxide that could not be ground. That's going to trick a student who's just reading through the answers, stressed for time, basically does not analyze the entire question, because you guys have to remember that you have to read every word of the answer choice so that you can understand when you're getting extra information that's not correct. Now this is a common wrong answer because it is negative. You have the word not, and this actually says had been ground into a fine powder. So ochre and other iron oxides that could not be ground. If you take away the not, D is correct. So is A, so you'd have 2 right answers, which is of course impossible, but they add the word not, and this is a common wrong answer called opposite. So now let's go ahead and summarize all of the important things that we learned from our reading review from Complete TOEFL Success for everybody out there. First, strategy equals success. Second, timing is a choice, so you just have to make the right choice of choosing an answer and moving on under time conditions even when you're uncomfortable. For the detail, we have 5 steps. Memorize and master them. Next, to improve, know your wrong answers. And to review, for the detail question, we learned that we have away wrong answers. That was B. We have mixed wrong answers. That was C, we have added information that makes an answer wrong, that was C, and we have opposite wrong answers, and that was D. Now do this for every question type on the TOEFL. And finally, good luck. So if you guys are interested in complete TOEFL success, or if you want more free help or videos, click on the link below if you're on YouTube, and make sure that you stay faithful and stay focused, because you will jump to the next level. So you will be that little fish. All right, everybody. So good luck, and I'll see you next time.